Tim Bradley officially cooks Devin Haney after yesterday's performance with Jose Ramirez. Don't say I didn't tell you so. I'm back, man. Yeah, we got to talk about it. Tim Bradley absolutely goes off on Devin Haney over his performance. Was it a win? Yes. Did Devin Haney impress? Absolutely not. So in this video, I'm going to break it down. Now, remember what I always say. I say there's a lot of low quality content in this boxing space online now, right? So peep it. Notice the Haney channels and content creators. They're doing one of two things. Either A, they are going to omit and focus more on Ryan Garcia losing to Rolly, which I'll talk about some in this video, and pretty much backburner Devin's performance. And that's one option. Option B is they are going to lie and act like this was a grandiose, masterful performance from Devin Haney. Now, I've said it in my initial breakdown video, what really happened. And I'll say it again in case you missed that video, but I highly recommend for my thoughts, you check out that video. Winning is winning, and winning to get the W, you would obviously rather get a W than to lose. Common sense stuff. But just know all victories are not the same and all losses are not the same. Meaning you have fighters who technically lose, but then the public doesn't feel like they lost and it was a robbery. So that loss is not the same as somebody sleeping you, right? Or if you have a victory and you look sensational, that's not the same as somebody who has a victory like Devin Haney had. And these are the realities. Now, Tim Bradley did a brand new interview with Fight Hub, and he has some very interesting things to say. Roll the clip.
Haney put on the Ryan put on the as well, but Haney was supposed to be going back to the drawing board, getting better. Did you think he got better? Absolutely not.
Mosley to the team, all that stuff.
Just because you add a Hall of Famer to your team don't make it's gonna make you better. I promise you that. Devin, yesterday, I felt like he didn't want to fight either with Ryan Garcia. The way he was fighting, how scared he was. PTSD is a real thing in fighting, in boxing. It's a real thing. And I felt that's what I saw with Devin, watching him run around the ring. Man, I was like, damn, I was like, did this dude, I said, did he train with Usain Bolt? Who the hell he trained with? I said, he running around this ring like he crazy. I'm like, yo, settle your feet down, bro, and grow some balls, man. Grow some balls and stand there and jab and make sure back this guy up off of you. But nah, man, like, look, I take so much, bro. I was so angry after watching that, bro. I wasted my time watching that last night.
I wasted my time watching that Haney fight last night. Really, the whole card sucked, to be honest. The whole card was trash, and I've already went over that. But for Haney, this was going to be a telling fight, and I told you we were going to have to pay attention to it because really, coming off of the Ryan Garcia fight, I had doubts and questions of what version of Haney would show up. And I got my answers. Unfortunately, they weren't positive, right? I told you after, and you guys can look and listen to my old content. The information is all there. Immediately after following the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney fight in April of last year, I said Devin is in between a rock and a hard place, right? Going through a battering fight, you know, it could do something to your psyche. You might be more cautious and apprehensive. I mean, nobody wants to be made fun of, turned into a meme. Then how his team and him continued to act thereafter, like fights at the carnival and suing Ryan Garcia. It really just added gasoline to the fire and made it worse. So I told you these things. Notice the Haney content creators, they're going to lie and hide these things from you. Your boy Ego, I don't have a horse in the race, so I could be myself and tell you what I'm really seeing. The way Devin was handling the criticism, you know, I was like, this is going to be a test on his mental fortitude because there's a lot of pressure on him and pressure bursts pipes. Now, I think Devin did a solid job of acting like he was unbothered during fight week. When he was, every time he spoke, every time he walked out for weigh-ins and stuff like that, he was being booed. So he compartmentalized that to make it look like he wasn't, affected by it. And what he was saying made him sound confident. So I was like, all right, let's see what he's coming back with. Because the good thing about fighters is you can never count a fighter out, because these fighters are defiant by nature. And the people counted out Rolly. Look at what he did and how he beat Ryan Garcia. And he didn't do it by knockout. He did it by pretty much outboxing Ryan after hurting him in the second round, and the rest is history. So you don't want to count fighters out. They're known for proving people wrong. So I lay back and I was like, all right, let me see what version of Devin come to the table. If you listen to my past content, I don't always agree with Tim Bradley, but right here he's spot on. He's like, who trained you? Usain Bolt? You're running around. Like, it's literally the same thing that I told you, but let the Haneyaks say it was a masterful performance. Bro, there's nothing masterful about it. He has one of the lowest, that particular fight, the Ryan Rolly fight, some of the lowest amount of punches thrown per fight. And anybody who watches Regis Prograis and Devin Haney and then watches that, it will look like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It'll look like a different person. And I think even the most stern Haney fan has to admit that his style, he evolved it. It looked different. Devin came out frantic. He never let his feet settle. He seemed like he always had to be on the move. It was actually kind of bizarre. The reason it was bizarre is I get the PTSD. I've already talked about that. Tim Bradley's talking about it. But the thing is, Ramirez looked completely washed and like he couldn't pull the trigger. So the level of danger wasn't really apparent from his foe for him to be fighting that negative. Does that make sense? So I found that very bizarre. Like, I could understand if this was like a reinvigorated Jose Ramirez. Make sure you guys like the video. And Jose Ramirez was just gunslinging and like really throwing some shots that were whizzing by. So Devin is like, all right, I got to get on my bike. I could even understand if Devin fought like that for the first couple rounds. You've been out the ring for a year, coming off the Ryan performance. Cool. Take your time with it. But then at some point, and given the threat level or lack thereof from Jose Ramirez and what he came to do and his offense, I expected so much more from Devin Haney. Devin Haney was acting like, the way he was fighting, it was bizarre. It was almost like a fighter who picked up an injury in the fight and they need to just survive because they have this injury and they can't really throw their hand. Or another example would be, like let's say Floyd Mayweather dominated somebody and he gives up the 12th round because all he has to do is not get knocked out in the 12th round, and it's a sure shot he wins the fight. Devin had no sense of urgency. Normally he has a very good jab, and his jab was not consistent. His footwork, I have the audacity to say the footwork looked good. The footwork looked like novice. It looked like he just was moving. It was almost like an amateur, like somebody off the street, and you put him in a boxing ring and you put him like, oh, fight Wilder. And then they're scared they don't want to get hit. So they just start moving. It was like unnecessary movement, burning unnecessary energy. So I didn't see this masterful performance. Finally, it kind of reminded me of, there's times where people, let's say a Bam Rodriguez or somebody who's a featherweight, smaller weight classes, and they fight somebody like a heavyweight. And based on the size disparity, they got to kind of keep it cool. They don't want to do too much because this guy's way bigger and way stronger. You know what I mean? It's like Oscar Valdez if he's in the gym sparring with Canelo, right? Or Canelo Frank Sanchez. There's weight differentials, so they're forced to, move around, pick their shots, because you can't really, if you're a lightweight and you're in there with the heavyweight, you can't really afford to get hit with big bombs and shots based on the disparity in your weight. That's how Devin Haney was fighting to me. He was fighting like he was fighting this Goliath, like he was fighting Usyk or, Anthony Joshua or something. And it was very timid, very hesitant. And like Tim Bradley said, it kind of wasted his time. So again, take my word for it on the breakdown, or you could listen to the Haney content creators who, for them, Devin could do no wrong. There's no criticism, no objectivity. It's just like, Devin, he's the best, and Ryan. And then some people keep saying, oh, but what about Ryan? I've already said it. Devin and Ryan both hurt the rematch. Neither one of them looked good. But at least for Ryan, he got dropped hard. And I think that's why he chose to fight like that, because there was a clear and present danger with Rolly being disciplined and having that level of power. Tank told you, Rolly is the hardest puncher he ever faced, and he hit like a ton of bricks. So if a man early sits you down with the double left hook, yeah, that's going to make you cautious. But for Devin Haney, he didn't really have an excuse to be fighting like that, given Jose Ramirez's output and things like that. So, and Devin is considered the more skillful guy anyway, and the more pure boxer. So people just expected more. Like you should, if you're a pure boxer, you should excel with the Ramirez type of style, flat-footed, especially that version of Ramirez who looks well past it. So wasn't impressed.